They called you the easy one. And somehow, that's the part that still hurts. You were the kid who didn't make a fuss, who tidied up before anyone asked, who could walk into a room and know in a half second which version of a parent had come home tonight by the keys on the counter, the weight of a sigh, the way a door closed. And you adjusted. You got quieter. You got smaller. You handled your own problems so you'd never be one more thing for anyone to carry. Everyone called that maturity. It wasn't. There's a name for what was actually happening to you. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Stay with me, because the last thing I want is for you to keep blaming the kid you used to be. Now, I'm not here as your doctor, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. This is psychology, explained plainly. It isn't therapy. I'm here because someone should say this clearly, the way you needed someone to say it a long time ago. So let's start with what you actually lived. Think back. Maybe you were the one who learned to read moods before you could read books. Maybe you comforted the adults when you were the one who'd been hurt. Maybe being praised, so mature, no trouble at all, such a big help, was the closest thing to love you could reliably get, so you became very, very good at earning it. Everyone saw a calm, capable child. What was happening was a child doing the emotional work the grown-ups couldn't. There are names for this. Psychologists call it parentification, when a child carries the emotional or practical role of the adult. And it usually grows beside something called emotional neglect. Not being hit, not going hungry, simply not being seen. Your needs weren't punished, they just weren't noticed. So you learned to stop having them out loud. Here's the distinction I want you to keep. You weren't mature. You were adaptive. You weren't independent. You were a child who decided correctly that depending on people wasn't safe. What looked like a personality was a survival strategy. And a strategy can be unlearned in a way a personality can't. So let me say the part you may have never been told. This was never your failing. Most parents who raise an easy child aren't cruel. They're overwhelmed, grieving, working themselves hollow, depressed, or carrying the very same wound from their parents, handing down a silence no one ever taught them to break. When the adults can't hold the weight of a home, it doesn't vanish. It rolls downhill to the smallest, most adaptable person in the house. That was you. And understanding why it happened does not mean you have to keep carrying it. Compassion for them and a boundary for you can live in the same breath. In fact, they have to. Their limits were real. So are yours. You're allowed to understand someone completely and still decide you won't be the one who absorbs it anymore. See if any of this is familiar. You apologize reflexively for things that aren't yours, for taking up space. You say, "I'm fine," before anyone even asks. You feel a flicker of guilt when you rest, because rest feels like you haven't earned your place yet. You can read a room's emotions in a heartbeat and go completely blank when someone asks what you feel. Notice it's your body keeping score. After time with certain people, you feel vaguely depleted, slightly anxious, like you said too much. That heaviness isn't you being dramatic, it's evidence. If you're watching this thinking that's me, you are not alone in that. You're in a very large, very quiet room of people who learned the same lesson. None of this means you're broken. It means you learned the lesson too well. The skill that kept you safe as a child is quietly running your adult life, and it is exhausted. And there's a grief in it nobody warns you about. The easy child rarely gets to fall apart because everyone relies on them not to. You became the safe one, the steady one, and somewhere in there you stopped being allowed to need anything back. You can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel like the one holding the whole thing up, alone. Here's what I need you to hear, and I mean it. A pattern you learned is a pattern you can unlearn. Not by force, not overnight, but slowly, with the same patience you spent your whole life giving everyone else. Let me show you where that starts. Because here's how the easy child shows up in love later. You don't push people away by being difficult. You push them away by needing nothing. You become so self-sufficient that there's no door left for anyone to walk through. People call you low maintenance. What they don't see is that low maintenance can be another word for, I learned my needs were a burden, so I hid them from you too. So what do you actually do with all this? 5 things, small ones. None of them ask you to confront anyone. They're about returning something to yourself. 1, name it accurately. Not to blame anyone, because shame can't survive being named precisely. You weren't too sensitive or too needy. You were a child who adapted to an environment that asked too much of someone too small. Say that plainly and watch some of the weight slide off the kid you used to be. It was never their job to fix. It was never your fault. 2, catch the reflex. Start noticing your automatic I'm fine and your automatic sorry. You don't have to stop them yet, just catch them. And each time ask one quiet question. What do I actually need right now? For an easy child, the radical part isn't answering. It's discovering the question was even allowed. 3, be, on purpose, a little bit inconvenient. Ask for the thing. Let someone help you. And don't pay them back by the end of the day. It'll feel wrong, almost dangerous. That discomfort isn't a warning sign. It's just an old rule finally being broken. Sit in it, it passes, and something steadier grows where it was. 4, reparent the kid. Psychologists call it learning to give yourself the steadiness no one gave you. So next time you're hard on yourself, ask, would I say this to a 7-year-old who is just trying to keep everyone okay? You already know how to take exquisite care of people. The work now is turning a fraction of that care inward toward the child who's still in there, still on duty. 5, know when to get real support. This channel is a place to feel less alone and to finally have language for your experience. It is not therapy, and I'd never pretend it is. If this is sitting heavy, a licensed therapist who understands childhood emotional neglect can do what a video simply can't. For a kid who learned to handle everything alone, asking for that kind of help isn't weakness. Honestly, it might be the bravest thing on this whole list. And before you go, let yourself grieve a little. Not the people, the time, the childhood you spent reading the weather instead of just being a child. The parent you needed and the parent you had were not always the same person, and you're allowed to feel the distance between them. That grief is real. It's heavy. It deserves room, not to keep you stuck, but because naming a loss is how you finally set it down. So if you were the easy one, the mature one, the kid who never gave anyone any trouble, hear this. That wasn't who you were. It was what you had to do. You were never too much. You were a child left alone with too much. You're allowed to put some of it down now. You've carried it long enough. If this named something for you, tell me in the comments what landed. I read them and they quietly become the next video. Take gentle care of yourself this week. I'll see you in the next one.